Welcome to Video Content on Steam. I hope you are having a fantastic first day here at Steam Dev Days. My name is Sean Jenkin. I do work at Valve, and day to day I work on the Steam business team. You may see me in the forums answering discussion questions on the forums, and hopefully you will know me more by the end of this talk. Now, the reason I'm giving this talk is because I also work on the development and the integration of video on Steam. And so, let's have a little look at what we're going to talk about today. Everything's working? Fantastic. So, why video on Steam? I want to try and answer that question. Once we've answered that question, I want to sort of give you guys a look at some of the features and opportunities you have on the Steam platform. We'll talk about the adoption so far. It's a little bit of a filter of some of the data that you saw in the keynote this morning. We're going to talk about some upcoming features, and again, these will align with things that you saw in the keynote this morning. And then hopefully there'll be time for Q&A. So if not, I'll catch you guys after the session. Now, if you have video questions, that's cool, we'll answer those. If you don't have video questions, there is a happy hour happening right after this talk. Come and find me, and I'm happy to talk about anything else. All right, so if you looked in the program and you saw the fact that, that we were talking about video, and this question came to your mind, you are not alone. Every time we announce a content partnership, every time we promote a movie, if you look in any of the discussion forums that exist for video content on Steam, even if you're out on Reddit, you will probably find this quote. Now, over the last few years, Steam has expanded. We are going to continue to be the premier gaming PC platform, and obviously we're moving into VR. But we've also expanded to include things like software, and soundtracks, and digital art books, and yes, video content. In fact, as of today, there are almost 1,700 videos now available on Steam for purchase and watching. If you have no idea about any of this, take a look at this clip.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day! Don't change your channel.
Hey, John. Thought I'd let myself in.
I noticed.
I can hack you back in time to Nazi Germany, just like a time machine.
10 years ago, competitive gaming wasn't even a thing. Now you're trying to be the best in the world.
What's the big deal? He's got 700 million. Well, it doesn't matter what he's got. When he's done, I'll just wipe it off anyway.
Tim Schafer, you just made $1 million in 24 hours. What are you doing?
I gotta make a game.
So again, I hope that gives you a little clue of some of the content that's on Steam today. So let's talk about why we have even spent any time investing in video. At the last Steam Dev Days, 2.5, almost 3 years ago in 2014, Valve stood on stage and said, what we're hearing from our customers is that they want to play their games, not just in their bedrooms, their dens, or their offices, but in their living rooms. And so we put a foot forward and we invested time and resources to make things like Steam Machines, the Steam Link, the Steam Controller. And given the fact that we were going to be on television sets, it made sense for us to take a step back and take a look at whether video content would make sense on what was then a gaming-only platform. About the same time, what we started to see was a number of video apps starting to appear on Steam. Things like Indie Game the Movie, Super Game Jam, and even Valve's free-to-play. Now, these apps were essentially flash-based interfaces to MPEG-4 files sitting on disk. But what it meant was every single video that wanted to ship on Steam had to take some of their money they wanted to spend on making the film and build some sort of interface or some sort of app. And so we thought, well, maybe we can help make that better. Now, those apps also didn't really work maybe across all platforms. Maybe they worked on Windows, if we were lucky, Mac, maybe Linux, but they were basically built on Flash. And so going back to the Steam Living Room initiative, when we're thinking about Steam machines and Steam OS and Steam Link, there wasn't really a possibility to support those types of apps on our platform. We also started to see a bunch of marketing content being built. Now those might be trailers for games, or there might be even more extensive episodic content like Mortal Kombat Legacy or the Payday web series. These are hour-long to 2-hour-long supplementary content to games that were being produced and sold on Steam. So with that, we thought about, okay, look, we're positioned well as a worldwide storefront. We know how to deliver petabytes of data a day. We're hearing from partners that they want to ship video content. Customers seem to be watching the content. Can we take the concept of video and apply all the great things of Steam to it? And that is where we've come up with today what we call Steam Video. So Steam Video is a natively integrated content type on Steam. So just like there's games and software and DLC, video is a native piece of Steam. So everything from the Steamworks backend through to the Steamworks client, the library, the store, everything understands about video. We can play back across Windows, Mac, Linux, Steam OS, on those Steam machines as they move forward. The Steam Link device can securely play back video content. The Steam controller is natively integrated into the video player. So the next time that you watch a video, watch it in big picture, grab your Steam controller you got in your swag bag, and then scrub around on the right haptic pad. This is a pro tip for you all. And you'll be able to actually scrub back and forward through the film like you're an editor. And so we've been able to take things like that from the Steam controller and apply them to the video space. Now you can also take the grip button, the shoulder buttons, the trigger buttons, and those all do other things in the player as well. Of course, we also still support gamepad support, keyboard, and mouse. And with the announcement that happened sort of today about the API extending of the Steam controller, the video player will get that same functionality. Now, the way that we built Steam Video was based upon what we'd already done for Steam Broadcasting. And Steam Broadcasting used a technology that we now call Instant Watch Adaptive Streaming Playback. And that means that we can adjust automatically what people are seeing to prefer a continuous experience in playback. So it might be based on the bandwidth, it may be based on the CPU usage, it might be, look, you're on a 1280 by 720 monitor, and so we can adjust playback automatically. Now, users can make a choice to watch in higher quality, but we'll try and help that situation as well. Because we're adaptively streaming, we can also do things like on the fly, select audio tracks or subtitles that make sense for the user. As an example of this, say there's a movie that's got an English and a Spanish subtitle, and audio dub, and the person is starting up the video in the Steam client that's also running in Spanish. So the video player can make a choice to automatically turn on the Spanish audio track. If there was no Spanish audio track, then we can also say turn on a Spanish subtitle if that was available. And again, things that users can actually customize and change on the fly, but something that we can also make smart decisions about. And this all wraps up into the idea of only delivering what the customer needs at playback time. So I want to dive a little bit more into it, and this is part tech session for those of you who care about this. What we're seeing here on the left-hand side is the visual part of a video. On the right-hand side is the audio part of the video, and I want to take these two sections separately. So when we receive a video for ingestion onto Steam, we take the highest resolution and then we create various representations of the video at different bit rates for playback. So in this case, I was at home and I started watching a movie and it was at 1080p. And then my wife started downloading something on Steam to play, and that dropped my available bandwidth down, so the video player switched to 720p. Eventually there was just a lot of network congestion and I dropped to 360p before all that ended and I was able to move back up to 1080p. So that's what my video experience was like. Now, the viewing experience, there was no skips or jumps or black screens, it just automatically transitioned based on the available bandwidth. On the right-hand side here, what you can see is 4 separate audio tracks. And I'm demonstrating another feature of the video platform, which is we can support different playback tracks, both in audio and actually in video, but we'll focus on the audio one right now. So you also only see one representation up here for each of those audio tracks. Now, an audio track is about half the bit rate of the lowest quality video, and so we really only deliver normally 1 bit rate for each audio track. So again, I started watching in English, and then I switched down to the director's commentary to listen, and something in that director's commentary inspired me to listen to the rest in a Spanish audio. Down the bottom is the resulting playback, and so those are the bits of data that were actually delivered to the customer. Again, all synchronized, no skips, no black screens, and again, controllable by the user, but also by the player. So I share all of that because some of the technology that we are building in the future builds upon this, and I want to talk about that later. But also, if you're planning to bring video content to Steam, it's good to understand some of how this works to make the best use of the platform. So, before I go into additional features that make up the Steam Video platform, I wanted to talk about some of the content models and some of the business models that exist, so you can think about how you can bring your content. So firstly, content models. So these are probably fairly easy to understand, so I won't spend too much time on them. Firstly, they're standalone video. And this is representative of things like films or shorts. There's actually about 30 shorts that are sold on Steam today. All standalone video can also have extra content. So if we take a look at this image, this is the film Divergent, and it is a standalone film as such. It also has some extra content that's automatically shown on the store down the bottom of the page. And that way customers know exactly what they're going to get when they purchase this standalone video. The other type of content model is the series video. And so you can see here on the right-hand side the first example of that, which is seasons and episodes. So Naruto Shippuden Uncut has 361 episodes across 28 seasons. As a customer, I can then look, by clicking on each of the tabs, at all the episodes available in each season. I also have options, and we'll talk about this some more, to buy individual episodes or to buy a bundle of all the episodes in a season together. We also apply this same model to tutorials, and you saw a few tutorials in the little video clip I showed at the start. So in this situation, each of the tabs represents a section of the tutorial, and each of the chapters of the tutorial are shown as individual elements. Again, as an end user, I can look and I can see the name of the tutorial chapter, how long it's going to run, a description of it. So I can get the full understanding of what I'm going to purchase in that single Add to Cart button. I'm going to show you some more tutorials in a little while. But one other thing to think about is when it comes to additional files. So for tutorials, often there is additional content that's needed to either complete the tutorial or perhaps to help you along the way in the tutorial. So we can deliver those files, brushes, models, other reference material, or if, say, you have a soundtrack for a standalone film, we could deliver that to the customer as well. Those appear in different places in the library, but customers are now used to and have information about how to find that content. So, let's talk a little about the business models. First is purchase. Purchase is very understood by the Steam customer base today. In the movie industry and the TV industry, it's often called electronic sell-through or EST, but it simply means the content is permanently available in the user's library. Probably don't need to spend much more on that. Another model that we spent some time investing specifically for video content was rental, or video on demand, or VOD. Now, by default, we have parameters set up that it's 30 days to start watching a rental and 48 hours to finish. Now, I say default because for every movie or series, both purchase and rental packages are created. On those rental packages, you can choose to work with us to customize it. So if you think, actually, my content is more like a 7 days to start watching and 7 days to start finish, or maybe it's 3 months to start watching and 3 months to finish, we're more than happy to have those conversations and work out what's best overall. The image here is from an anime called The Last Naruto the Movie. The first package you can see is the rental, and right below the rental information is information about that 30 days to start and 48 hours to finish window. And right below that then is the buy option. And so customers are clearly presented the options. As a content contributor and distributor, you have the choice whether you rent, buy, or rent and buy. So you can make those choices based on your availabilities and licensing that you have. Now, I want to talk about some other business models here. The first one being free. And I want to talk about it because we don't put everything that could possibly be on the world that is free up on Steam. We've sort of put some boundaries around it, and I want to explain those. The first is if the content is complementary to games, a game that's on Steam, gaming in general, or the gaming culture. Our assumption is that people who are on Steam are likely there originally for games, and so any content that's related to that is probably something that they're interested or happy to see on the platform. So as an example here, this is CSGO player profiles. Now CSGO is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's a game that Valve makes, and a few times a year we run a tournament. We call them majors. Each one of those majors represents a season on this page. And so when we go to those tournaments, these are made up of professional Counter-Strike players, and we spend time making video profiles about who they are, what team they're part of, their family life, etc. We show them at the majors, and then they immediately come up to the CSGO player profiles. So you can watch the episodes individually, or you can use the larger Add to Account button, which means as we add more seasons and episodes in the future, they automatically get added to the user's account. And that's a great way to sort of build the long tail value of your content. It also means CSGO, from the player profiles to the actual game, is really generally one click away. And that was something that right back at the start when I was thinking about, and we were thinking about sort of video content on Steam, getting that sort of marketing or supporting material as close as possible to the actual point of purchase is a huge value. Now, the other way that we support free content is if there's some other monetization opportunity. So Kikoriki is a kids' TV show from Russia. There are 173 episodes. The first 2 episodes are given away free. So you can very much associate this with like a demo for a game. We understand that by giving those couple of episodes away, there's a good chance that people will convert for $10 for the other 171 episodes. So happy to support that scenario. But it also goes further. This is the complete figure drawing course. It's available on Steam. This is 225 chapters, 77 hours of tutorial content on how to draw the human figure from your mind. Now, that's a lot to cope with in the first place. The cost is $50. It's not a cheap tutorial. The first 19 chapters are given away for free. That's about 2.5, nearly 3 hours of content. Now, we see sales of this every single day, which is fantastic. But what's more interesting is more than 50% of the people who have watched one or more of those free episodes have wishlisted this. That means when the sale comes along in a few weeks from now, whether it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, or holiday sales, all of those people are going to get emails saying this is now on sale. And so it's a great chance for us to sort of get an idea of conversion data, but we also expect customers who have been interested to convert and provide, a purchase option for the people who made this tutorial course, which is just fantastic. Okay, I want to shift slightly to bundles. Bundles is something that we have been investing in the last 1.5 years on Steam or so. If you don't know about bundles, I'll try and explain some as we go along. Bundles allow you to package together any set of content, whether it's a game and a movie or soundtrack or your DLC in your game. So I'm going to give some examples that are related to movies, but again, this applies to sort of any content on Steam. So this is Mad Max, the video game. Mad Max, the video game, launched September 1st, 2015. On the exact same day, Mad Max Fury Road, last year's movie of the year, in many places, went also for sale on home digital video. So we worked with Warner Brothers to put both the Mad Max game up and the Mad Max movie up, Mad Max Fury Road. We also worked with them to create a bundle. What this meant was if I bought the game, I could then get the movie for 10% off. Or if I bought the movie first and then bought the game, I got the game for 10% off. Or I could buy both and get 10% off both to begin with. The interesting stat on this is almost 50% of the movie sales have actually come through the bundle. Now that could be for a number of reasons. It could be one, people really like the IP, they've already played the game, they want the movie, maybe they like the movie and now they're wanting to try the game. But that is an incredible amount of purchases that are due to the bundle being there. So it's something to think about. So that's the first sort of line item there, buy Mad Max game plus Fury Road bundle. The one right under that is buy Mad Max game and the Mad Max anthology. So this is a franchise. This is everything you can buy on Steam that's related to Mad Max. In fact, there's even one movie, the original Mad Max, that is not available anyway but through the bundle purchase. And again, it's a complete the set bundle, so if I own the game, I could upgrade to the additional 4 movies, and this time I get 15% off. There are lots of opportunities here when it comes to your content, movies and games and DLC and soundtracks for you guys to think about as you bring your content to Steam. A couple of other bundle opportunities, and this is sort of unique, I think a little bit more to video. So this is a series called Crunch Time. At this point in time, there are 4 episodes that are currently available and 2 that haven't shipped yet. So I have a number of opportunities in how I purchase this. I can buy the entire season bundle right now. I get the 4 episodes immediately, and as the other 2 episodes unlock, then they appear in my library. We also do the same thing on the store. It's hard to see from that far back, but episode 5 and 6 actually doesn't have a real name. It doesn't have a running time. It doesn't have a description. We're keeping that out of people's hands so we don't spoil the story. But at the same time, as a customer, I can see I'm going to receive 6 episodes. It's going to cost me $6.90 to buy all 6 episodes. But maybe I try out and I buy the first one. Well, then that purchase of the first one actually subtracts some amount from the full season bundle. So I still get the value of the bundle even if I sort of bought the first episode to try it out. So that's something we can support for all of our episodic content. Another one is around hardware, and this is something we've recently started. So this is Steam Link, the hardware device that we have, plus John Wick the movie. And so you can actually buy the Steam Link with John Wick for about the price of the Steam Link. So you either get the movie for free, or you pay for the movie and you get the Steam Link for half price. Great value for customers, and in all honesty, every sale that we've seen that these 2 products in a region are basically this package as opposed to just buying the Steam Link. So if you have content that you think would be great to go along with one of our pieces of hardware, we'd love to hear about that. The final thing I wanted to touch on when it comes to bundles is to do with VR. And so, again, on the John Wick theme, this is John Wick Chronicles. And this bundle actually has a lot of interesting parts to it. Firstly, John Wick Chronicles is a VR game that's not coming out until February 2017. So it's in pre-purchase. If you choose to buy the digital deluxe edition, you get the VR experience, you get John Wick the movie, you get Payday 2 the game, and maybe some other things that will come along in the digital deluxe edition. So as a customer again, I get tremendous value out of buying all of these right now in a single bundle purchase, whether there's discounts, the movie is cheaper in this bundle. So again, think about how you can apply bundles across all the content that you have, VR, movies, software, soundtracks, etc. Now before I move on, I just want to touch quickly on DRM. I know it can be a sensitive subject sometimes. All videos that we ingest use Google Widevine with the common encryption. You can, as a content creator and distributor, choose to turn that off. Customers don't have a choice. It does not change how we deliver the content. It's still adaptive streaming playback. And we really haven't seen any adverse effects for customers with DRM on. And DRM on simply means from end to end, everything is encrypted through to the point of appearing on your screen. Okay, so with that context, I want to touch on a couple more Steam video features, and then we'll talk about some adoption after that. So Steam, obviously, worldwide platform. You saw the numbers this morning, things like 500% growth in Asia, 200% growth in other parts of the world. It's important that not only the Steam video player, but your content be as localized as possible. So our video player is fully localized in every language that Steam is in. And you can upload and put in captions or subtitles for every language as well. We also support things like Canadian French or Mexican Spanish. So those variants that matter for those regions, we can also support. All closed captions and subtitles can be fully customized by the end user. And why is this important? Well, every person that really needs captions may have a different way they need to view it. They may need the font larger, they may need a different type of font, they may need a different style of font, they may need a shadow, they may not want the background window color. So it's important that we support that for all of our users. We also have some features like forced text support. So rather than burning in your subtitles to your file and sending us multiple versions, you can send us a subtitle file that will turn on automatically for all customers no matter what. You can also do things like force sub on audio track. What does that mean? This is something that happens in the anime licensing world quite a lot. If you're in the US and you want the Japanese audio of an anime video, you have to have the English subtitles turned on for licensing requirements. Now, I don't know if I understand that, but we support it. And so if you need that in your licensing, then we can support you too. As a stat, 10%, and this is not 10% sort of around that, a minimum of 10% of videos every day on Steam are watched with subtitles and captions turned on. That is not a small amount of people who are influenced by the content that's available. So, just like localizing games, if you have content that you think is going to appeal to a region, make sure you get subtitles done. It will definitely impact your customers. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that video content is natively integrated into Steam, and that means for Steam customers, they're going to expect a lot of the standard Steam features. And thankfully, since we are a first-class content citizen on Steam, we support that in video. And it all really starts with playtime or watch time tracking. So every time you're watching an episode or watching a film, we're tracking the amount of time that you're watching it. So we can show things on your profile, and we can do a bunch of other things. Now, I've got a few images here. This first top left image represents some of my profile. There's two things on here. There's the Football Manager documentary, which is a standalone film, and we just track the time against that particularly. Kikoriki, which I mentioned earlier, is an episodic series, and my son has been watching that with me. We've watched 1.1 hours of the series. Now, each of the episodes still get their time tracked, but we roll that data up so that we can show it at the series level. Why do we show it at the series level? Well, the store page is at the series level, the discussion hub is at the series level, the user reviews, even if they're written for individual episodes, are shown at the series level. So it's important for us to make that consistent across the board. And yes, that means that films and series content all have all the standard community features that you are expecting. We also support trading cards. Now, Steam trading cards, short primer, they're like virtual baseball cards that you can earn while watching a video or playing a game or doing anything else on Steam. Whether you're watching a video or watching across a series, trading cards work. So you can earn those trading cards, you collect the set, they get turned into a badge, it lets you up-level your profile, gives you emoticons and backgrounds, and it lets you show off the fact that you are a fan of whatever content you're playing or watching. So again, Kikoriki, I could be watching across, say, 17 hours of that series, and over the course, say, every 2 or 3 hours, the trading cards would drop for me, and then I can use them for all the things that happen with trading cards being on our economy. One more feature I wanted to mention is the Steam VR Desktop Theater. And so every video that you watch on Steam will work in the Steam VR Desktop Theater. Simply put the headset on, start playing back the movie, and you'll end up in this theater space. You can change the size of the screen up to 5 meters or 225 inches. You can curve the screen or you can make it flat. You can center yourself wherever you like in the room. So put your headset on, find a comfy chair, and enjoy everything that Steam has to offer in the video space in your headset. Okay, so let's talk a little about adoption. So, similar to what DJ did this morning, I want to talk about the amount of content, users, and revenue. So, I don't know, this is a pretty cool looking graph to me. Initially, when we first started launching video content, it was literally people were sending me video files. I would then take them to a secure server. I'd run them manually through our ingestion scripts. I'd upload the files. I would set up the back end. I would help set up the store page. I would do the launch. It was like Steam 5 or 6 years ago when DJ showed everyone on fire. That's what it was like for movies just like a year and a half ago. Knowing that that was silly, we started to automate those processes and automate those scripts. And today, what we have is a self-ingesting, cloud-based processing system that can do hundreds of feature films every single day. So a couple of things that, that did. So we started off very slow, and then this is sort of July 2015 is when we brought in the first automation scripts, and we continued to onboard content at a better clip and a better rate. Starting mid last year and continuing this year, we've been working with strategic partners, companies like Lionsgate, Viz Media, Cinedigm, who have content that we really believe our Steam users would be interested in. So starting in sort of March this year, you can see that next sort of bump in the amount of content that was coming on. Finally then in August this year, we brought on TV series and episodic content. more tutorials, and that kicked that line that's now sort of heading in the up direction. We know, based on what's sitting in the pipeline and the conversations we're having, that line is going to continue to go through the roof. Now, DJ mentioned this morning that Steam used to ship 5 to 10 games a week, and it took about 10 years to get to about 500 games. We're sort of going to shoot through that and keep going. Video content is very fast in terms of onboarding to the Steam platform. Users. So everyone wants a number, so here's a number for you. 4.36 million users have video in their Steam library. That is not including anything from the video apps era. This is people who have since watched a streaming video. We haven't forced streaming video into anyone's library in any way, at least up until this point. And so that's 4.36 million users who have consciously made a decision, I'm going to watch a video on Steam, and it is in their Steam library. Now that growth has come through a number of ways, but I want to pick on two. Again, this sort of ties back to stuff DJ was talking about this morning. The first thing I want to sort of talk about is free game-related content. And I want to give you a couple of examples. The first, as an example for this, is based on a series called Agent Origins. So Ubisoft released a game called The Division a few months ago, and then they released a series of episodes, 4 episodes called Agent Origins, and it tells the backstory of each of the characters. When Agent Origins was released on Steam, it became the #1 most popular piece of content for the next 72 hours straight. And I don't mean the most popular video content, I mean the most popular new release of all things on Steam for 72 hours straight was Agent Origins. 75% of the people who own The Division have watched 1 or more episodes of Agent Origins. Now, that makes a marketing team at Ubisoft very happy, but think about your customers in the fact that they can take their interest in the game, the IP, and the world that they live in, and be able to extend that in other ways. And think about that if you're a game maker in this room today, if you have an ability to do things like behind the scenes, or how we made this game, or some sort of story or documentary that goes along, your customers want to be involved with the creation of your games. And this is one way that you can certainly do it. The other thing that we've seen on a more paid side is localized targeted content. And what do I mean by that? So in the clip I showed earlier, there was a short little part of a movie called Over the Dream. Over the Dream was made by a Russian esports company. They followed one of their esports Dota players and one of the Dota commentators to the Dota 2015 tournament here in Seattle. That film is in Russian, the entire thing. Now, there's English subtitles, but it's in Russian. So you've got a movie that's about Russian people in a community of Dota that people care about in Russia, in the Russian language. So when that went on sale on Steam, the numbers blew us away and blew the esports company away as well. Every time they put something on sale around this, the numbers just spike. And the point of that is, look, you may have this little piece of content that you think, oh, it's in French, and maybe there's just this niche community of people who might like it. Bring it to Steam because the customers are there, and they are interested and hungry for content that they can't get other ways. Now, all of that beautiful news aside, we do realize that discovery of video content is something that is still being worked through. Discovery in general on Steam is being worked through. DJ mentioned a little bit this morning how we're going to rev the homepage. I'm going to show you something a little bit later on as to where we're heading for video content discovery. Okay, revenue. So you're only just probably going to look at this chart, and so I'll just explain it. The chart here represents the total amount of revenue from the top 100 revenue-making videos on Steam today. So when you see movie is 50%, that doesn't mean 50 movies out of the top 100. That means 50% of the revenue out of all of those videos were for movies. That's not surprising. There is a vast amount of video content more than other types. What's kind of interesting to me is 9% of all the revenue is tutorials. So if you're a game maker in this room and you know how to talk about the content you're making, or to model, or to illustrate, or design, or do sound design, record yourself, talk to us, and let's get that content up on Steam so that others can learn the craft of making great games. There is a market for tutorial content on Steam. The other part about it is a lot of the software that's being shown in the tutorials is also available for sale on Steam. So again, that almost just brings the video, the tutorial, and the software all together that people are really interested in. Another part is anime content. So 20% of all of the revenue from those top 100 videos is anime content. I don't know if that's a surprise. I don't know if that lines up with the growth in Asia. Maybe it's availability, but anime content is doing well. Documentary is a little less surprising given the fact that we've had documentaries around for quite a while. Now, I didn't just sort of decide these were the 4 categories. I looked at the top 100 videos and everything sort of fell into one of these 4 things. So if you could make a documentary about someone making a tutorial about how to make anime content, maybe you can hit this really well. But that's not the point of my slide or this talk at all. But anyway, it's an interesting anecdote for all of this. We do know that major studios, new releases, just because of the way the movie industry works, day one of home digital delivery drives a lot of awareness and revenue. So we're not about to go away from that, and it is something to be aware of. But as I said, things like documentaries that are localized and targeted, or things that have things like YouTube stars in it, seem to do better than I would expect. People seem to enjoy that content. Okay, so how do you adopt into Steam, since I just needed to put this slide somewhere? If you have an existing Steam distribution agreement, that already covers games and software and videos and anything else you want to sell on Steam. If you don't, we have a video-specific SDA that has things like EST, VOD, and other terms that will make more sense for that industry. If you have the existing SDA, but you really want something that's video-specific, we can work on that too. After that, it just looks like putting a game on Steam. You'll create the store page, all the assets, all the capsule art descriptions. You'll upload and configure the video just like you would basically a build of a game. You can replace it at any time if you have new edits. You submit it for review, it gets reviewed. Once it's approved, then you publish it out when you're ready to go. Everything to do with like episodic content, series content, extra content for your standalone videos is all just baked into the platform. We're trying to get me out of the way so that you guys can get your content to your customers. Okay, upcoming features. How much time have I got? Oh, good, plenty. So, how do we get to upcoming features? How do we even get to the point of today? So, at Valve, we prioritize 3 things, which hopefully everyone else does too. First, what is it that customers care about? What are they doing with the things that we give them? 2, what are partners wanting to do? Are we in a position to support them, or can we build to support them? And 3, what else is Valve doing? And so the Steam video platform we have today is built upon those 3 principles. Again, at Steam Dev Days in 2014, we talked about expanding into the living room. We saw partners trying to ship content. We watched customers watch it. And so that's the platform we've delivered to V1 today. We're going to do the same things moving forward. So let's apply some of those lenses, one of them being VR. So, introducing, I don't know, I just made up this name, Steam 360 Video. So we are partnering with a great company here in Seattle, Pixvana. CDN providers like Akamai are the leading content providers on something called the Field of View Adaptive Streaming Open Projection Format, or FOVAS for short. This is an open standard. We are trying to build VR in an open way. So this is an interesting scenario for us to be in because it is open. It aligns with our goals and our priorities. What FOVAS really supports is playback of effectively 8 to 10K resolution masters, so the frame size that you have for playing back your content, but using effectively a 1080p stream, or the bandwidth for a 1080p stream. It is built upon the same technology that I gave you that chart earlier, our adaptive streaming format, and that's what's used in Steam Video today. So, how does this work? In today's 360 video world, if you've tried it, effectively what you've got is a single frame that's 1920 by 1080 in pixels. But then you put a headset on and you have got way more pixels than that. So what happens? The pixels get large, it looks like it's compressed, it looks kind of bad. And that affects people's understanding of what really great VR 360 video content could be. So how does FOVAS fix this or help with that? Hopefully you can see this a little bit. And I'm going to read from my notes simply because I want to get this right. So what we do is we take the original, say, 10K master, and we break it into some number of viewports, and in this case, 30. And by breaking that up, we can keep the quality high no matter which direction the viewer is looking. Now, how do we do that? Each one of these viewports is effectively a 1080p stream. But we take the center of the viewport and we pack it with the pixels and the details that is expected to match what is that 10K experience. Now, that means it's still a 360-degree view, so if you turn your head quickly, you're actually going to end up with probably lower quality content than what is a standard 1080p stream. However, and this is where it kicks in the same way that we can adaptively switch between resolutions and audio tracks in our player today, we can switch which viewport you're actually looking at, which means within a couple of 100 milliseconds right now, which will get faster, you can keep the highest detail, highest density amount of pixels right in front of your eyes. So that 360 experience becomes a 10K master experience. So just to point out something as an example on here, let's say I'm looking at minus 30, 180 degrees. I see a nice clear view right in front of me, but again, around me might be lower quality. I then look up to say 180 and 30 degrees, 2 up from there. We switch which viewport you're looking at, and you continue to see a high quality video. Now, we're excited about this technology, and so we are working now on the ingestion and publishing process of FOVAS-based 360 videos. That's going to come out of a couple of different ways. You'll be able to publish out of some tools that are being built, like a one-button publish to Steam. We'll also look at opportunities to just let you ingest directly into Steam. We'll do the FOVAS conversion potentially and let you play that back. And that means the videos that exist today in sort of the 1920 by 1080 could be played back. We're going to extend the Steam store and the library so that you can identify and then play back those 360 videos. We're going to be able to play back those 360 videos because working together with Pixvana, we're going to deliver an integrated video player for both the desktop and for virtual reality headsets. So on the desktop, if you don't have a VR headset, you'll still be able to sort of look around the video with your mouse or keyboard. If you have the virtual reality headset on, you can experience the full effect of high quality 360 video. If you want to see a demo of that today, the Pixvana Spin Technology Preview is up on Steam. It launched last week. And so if you have a Steam VR compatible headset, you can put that on, you can download this app, and you can get a few minutes experience of what it is that we're talking about. So we hope to ship this sort of early 2017. And I'll talk a little bit more later about how you guys get involved. The next thing, one of the first things I said was we want to support playback of video anywhere where Steam is. Well, it turns out we have Steam mobile apps. We realized that video playback is probably important on mobile apps. It's not something we haven't thought about or didn't want to address, but there were other things for our existing customer base that we wanted to get to first. However, in 2017, we are saying we're going to be working on mobile playback. So you'll open the Steam mobile app, you'll be able to explore your video library. We're going to do this on iOS and Android to start. We'll see if we go to other devices after that. So initially it will be streaming to those devices, but we also understand people get on planes, they come to conferences, they want to be able to watch their Steam purchased videos, and so we are going to work on offline and download playback so that you can enjoy your content anywhere. More to come on that as the year goes on. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about upcoming features is video discovery. So we showed a brief image this morning of sort of what the homepage is going to look like. Expect that to come, fairly soon. But what we want to do is we want to start creating a few different hubs. So this is one example, which is our video hub. We are going to take these same concepts and apply it to VR, potentially software and other things, so that there is a place for customers to not have to go to a search result page to try and find content that they're interested in, but a place that we can actually host and make a good effort in exposing different types of content. So there'll be a promotional main carousel up the top. It will be driven with things like new releases, top sellers, and other things that we work together to promote as partners in the platform. There'll be a section called Recommended New Releases. Now, Recommended New Releases is based on maybe games you've been playing or other video content you've been watching. We'll apply sort of a window of new release period, and we'll offer up to each individual customer things that we think that they would likely purchase. There'll be a popular new releases tab and list, so you can see the other things that people are enjoying watching. There'll be a top sellers list, so you can see the things that are being sold overall. Specials is an area that we really haven't spent a lot of time on video content with. And so what I mean by that, Steam is well known in the gaming industry as a place to get great deals on content. So we want to get to a point where we can not only expose that, but get into a regular rhythm of video content being on sale, deals, daily deals potentially, as time goes along. And then we're also exploring ideas around, look, I've wishlisted this video, so can you prompt that to me? What popular new free content is available? What other recommended things? Or maybe even things like, I own episode 1 of Crunch Time. Encourage me to buy the rest of the season out. So this will be coming in the next few months. This is something we're actively working on right now. And so we really hope this will be a great first step to a home of video content on Steam. Okay, so the call to action slide, and then I'm done. It's Q&A, and we'll talk about that in a sec. If you have video content, or if you think you can make video content, if it's attached to your game, if you can make a tutorial, we want it on Steam. We want to bring this content to the customers on Steam who are already loving it and beyond. If you're thinking about 360 or VR video content, we would love to talk to you. And not just, hey, I want to publish my 360 video on Steam. No, we want to talk about the ideas you have in building 360 content, how you're shooting it, how you're editing it, how you expect to publish it, how you expect to distribute it, what you think the business models are. We want to build this together with you. So if that's you, please come and talk to us. If there is a business or content model that we didn't discuss today, but you think your customers want that, then tell us, and we'll see if it makes sense to build it. There are obviously other content and business models, things like subscription services, independent video on demand services. We're not very far away from supporting those things. We just need to know if people actually want it. If you don't care about video after this talk, I'm sorry you spent the last hour with me. However, take advantage of our bundling opportunities. There is significant value for you and for your customers in using the bundling technology. So with that, thank you, and I appreciate you guys being here. In terms of questions, we have a lovely young gentleman right here with a microphone, and he is going to run around. If you can put your hands up, and then I will attempt to answer your questions.
I have a couple quick questions.
Sure.
Are you planning on supporting 3D 360 video?
3D 360 video. What do you see as different?
Like stereo?
So stereoscopic
Yes.
3D video? That is a good question. If you think you're making that, then yes, let's talk.
Are you planning on supporting ambisonics or directional audio for the 360?
Yes, so that is an active discussion that's going on right now because it's also something we're investigating and investing in for general VR content, and we'd love to apply that to the video space, yeah.
And are you planning on supporting mobile VR for 360 video?
There will be players that support the FOVAS technology, and that was actually something I didn't mention. Our intention with the player that we will deliver will be one that's plug and play, so if other people make FOVAS-supported video players, they'll be able to swap them in and out on Steam. And so that same technology is being expanded out to things like Samsung Gear. Just like we do with Vive and Oculus and other VR headsets, we can make that content available. So that's part of the plan, yeah.
And do you mind sharing your email address? Or?
I've got business cards. People can grab them from me
Thank
straight
you.
after the talk. Yep.
Yeah, for the 360 video,
I don't know where
is
I'm
that right over here?
Oh, thank you.
Hello. So when it's breaking it into the multiple video streams, is it what type of projection is it using? Is it an equirectangular? Is it doing a pyramidal? Do you feed equirectangular into it and then it splits it out from there? So what's the geometry like for the projection?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of that. We can take different inputs. I think Forrest is here. Forrest is there. Forrest is the CEO of Pixvana, and he has many slide decks that talk about projection matrices. So I may actually just get you and him to talk after this. But yes, the idea is that in the end, the result is like basically a cube map or a spherical map that we can then project into. And in fact, if you use the demo and then pause the demo, what will actually happen is we will show you sort of the cubed mapped version, so you can see what it's like, and then you resume playback, and suddenly you're back in the CenturyLink Stadium, and it looks amazing, but then you can bring in and see the actual geometry. But there is, yes, there's various ways that we can project and various ways that we can bring in the content.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just really quick, I know that you mentioned streaming video, or I'm sorry, offline playback for video on the mobile platform. Will that also be available on a desktop?
That's the plan. There are a lot more limitations for security reasons and other things like that. It's not, the plan is to solve both of those at the same time. We know how to already solve it for mobile, so we're just going to work out, can we apply that to the desktop scenario.
And do you have a projected time to market for that?
I'm Valve, so can I say Valve time? But I think we're sort of looking mid-2017. Yeah. Yeah. Over there.
Mate, this is awesome. I had no idea Steam was doing this, and I want to get into it as fast as possible. If we have an existing SDA, you mentioned that everything's automated. Do you really mean everything? Like if I want to put a pilot episode of something up, you know, next week, do I still need to email you and like get an app ID for a video, or can I create that myself?
Standalone, yeah. So standalone videos, you can generate like for those who have app credits or go through Greenlight, there's a button that says Create New App. And when you do that, you can select game, software, or video. And so if you have a video that's standalone, you can do that instantaneously. For series-based content, because it's new, I still click the button that says Create the Series, but that literally creates the top level. You then create all seasons, all episodes. You determine when you release the episodes. It's completely in your hands at that point. So.
Fantastic, thanks.
Yeah. Right here in the front.
Yeah, hello. Where do I start? We have games, and we also have videos that are derived from the IPs of the game.
Yep.
How easy, you mentioned bundling, how easy is it to put the bundles together so you have game with episode 1 to 6? Yep. Bundle with the same game with episode 6 to 12, for example?
Yeah, so bundles are effectively just the individual packages that you would know today. So when you are making a game, you might have a Steam package, maybe a retail package. On the same page where you can manage all of your packages, there's a button that says Add Bundle. And you literally type the name of the bundle, set it up, and then you add those packages. So you would add the game and then the 6 episodes that you want to match with that package. So it's actually completely in your hands to be able to create those. Bundles work by adding up the value or the cost of each package, and then if you want, applying a discount to that. And then you can also say you can buy into this at any time, or you've got to buy the whole bundle at once. So.
Thanks. Is it the same the other way around? So same concept, but center on the video and adding
it all works exactly the same way. So bundle, so here, inside pro tax tip. Game content is taxed at a different rate than video content. How about that for a great thing in life? And so the bundles, the reason bundles are actually a big part of video is because the only way we could bundle or like sell a game plus a movie together was the concept of a bundle. We couldn't put, and you still can't, put a game and a video into the same package. They have to be bundled for tax reasons. So yes, it works both ways, and honestly, video has been the biggest use of bundling tech for quite a while. So. John.
Yeah, I have a quick question. In one of the points of the keynote this morning, they mentioned a Samsung Smart TV app.
Yep.
Assuming that video playback will be part of that, I'm wondering what the timing is for that, and is it like the 2017 models, or?
Yeah, so my understanding, Samsung actually announced this maybe a month ago, but we kept it really on the down low. But yes, it's supposed to be every Samsung Smart 2017 TV will have the Steam Link software built into it. And so yes, at that point it will be a fully encrypted stream right to the television via the Steam Link device.
One question, we're a game developer. We don't have an active SDA yet. In terms of the kind of video content we can publish, can it be same, for example, let's play videos from YouTubers or our own how to play our game, etc. Or?
Yeah, so again, if it's free content, we would say make sure it's associated with your game. If it's like a guide to a game, where there is a section in each community hub for guides, and so we'd encourage you in that case probably just to put it on YouTube and link to it in the guides. But if it's more of a documentary, and we have a number of these that are related to making of the game or stories around the game, then happy to put that, and you can either have a standalone store page with all of your content, or you can just make that video content available with your game at the point of purchase. So, I got 5 minutes left, so any last questions? I see one hand. Okay, up the back.
Yep. Would you expand more on what type of tutorials you think are a good fit and how, or if there are any good examples of tutorials that are monetizing right now?
Yeah. Honestly, all the tutorials have done way better than I ever imagined they possibly could do, and we only launched them for the first time in September last year. Certainly things to do with modeling and drawing have done probably a little bit better than some of the other content. There's a wealth of beginner tutorials out on YouTube and other places. The stuff that's a little bit more complex and deep seems to actually also do better. People are willing to pay the money to get that sort of deeper exposure into their content. So if you can do 3D Studio Max or Maya, or you know how to texture, we sell variations of Modo and Cakewalk Sonar, because Seth's sitting here in the front row. Like, if you know how to use those tools, then let's bring that content.
Hi.
Hi.
The video platform sounds really exciting, and it sounds like it's in early days, but going strong. I have a question about the future, I guess. Have you and your team considered adding interactivity and or branching video?
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring that up. John, who asked the question before, and I have been working on something called the Media Labs Manifest. And the concept of this is how do you describe both the delivery of content and the interactive experiences that go along with it? And so maybe it's like you think of the ultimate Blu-ray DVD experience that you've had, but then make it so that it can talk to the internet, and it can be updated over time, and it can be interactive, and it can be social, and it can have Steam chat going and discussion forums and all that sort of stuff. So we're thinking through how does that work. We're trying to work out, do people care about that concept? But yeah, we can certainly dynamically do things in the video player in real time. The simplest example of that is when you're watching episodic content, there's a button that says, go to the next video. Well, we only know what the next video is because we actually go back to the server and work out what you own and where we can take you. We could, build the same logic into perhaps sort of more interactive experience. All right, any last questions? Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Stick around for the happy hour, and I hope you have a great Steam Dev Days too.